people had been shot, and they thought they were acting. I'm processing all this in real time. I headed down 2 days ago after hearing around Monterey Park, and my first instinct was to get to my desk and open up a file. And literally out dropped the file was a bunch of these yellow cards from my talking points in San Jose, the ones at the Gilroy Garlic Festival, and then the ones literally almost 4 years ago to the day, the week, related to the Thousand Oaks shooting where 13 people were gunned down at the Borderline Bar and Grill. Literally, these are the notes, one of them. I went down to Monterey Park and was invited to 3 press conferences like this, and I said, nope, nope, nope. I watched them on my cell phone instead as I walked around the community. And I'll tell you what, I did that selfishly because I didn't have the guts to come up and say the same things we hear again and again and again. That was covered. Sheriff Luna did a magnificent job. Local electeds did a magnificent job. We made sure of that as well. But I walked and listened, knocked on doors, walked into businesses that were still open and just listened to people. Remember someone rolling up, young woman, 3 young girls in the back, and she, can I talk to you? She starts tearing up. And she introduced me to her 10-year-old daughter, 8-year-old daughter, and 3-year-old daughter, and said, can you do me a favor? And can you tell them it's going to be okay? And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, they're supposed to be in school, but my 8-year-old said, no way. I said, how's her 10-year-old? She goes, doing remarkably. 3-year-old, she was just rolling around in the back. And the 8-year-old was so fearful because she heard the gunshots. And she knew. She actually knew they weren't firecrackers. She, in and of itself, is remarkable. And she didn't sleep the night before. And I looked over at her and I said, it's going to get better. And all I thought to myself, if she was like my 8-year-old daughter, thank God she didn't do this. She didn't ask me to pinky promise. Because I wasn't so sure. Walked back the next morning, met with more merchants, visited the hospitals, met a young man on life support. Next morning I find out he passed away. I met someone in the hospital, and he said, hey, Governor, thanks for being here, but when am I getting the hell out of here? And I said, well, let's get the doctor. He says, no, I'm going to be fine. His leg was shattered by the gunfire. He goes, I can't afford to spend any more time here. I don't have the money. His mom arrived, Cantonese speaking. His only son arrived. And they came over to me worried he's going to lose his job in the warehouse the next day unless he can go back to work. Joaquin talks about inequality and things being exposed. That's exactly what we experienced here today. Farm workers of all stripes. Latino descent, Asian descent. Asian gunmen. 39 now of these mass shootings, and we're only on day 24 of the new year. I was looking back at these same notes, and it starts, it's right here, right up on the right corner. It says Aurora. It goes down to Midland, Orlando, Buffalo, Poway, Parkland, San Jose, Sutherland, Sandy Hook, Boulder. And I started writing in Monterey Park. And now I got to write in Half Moon Bay. What the hell is going on? But it was said, and it's said all the time, only in America. Only in America. Number 1 in gun ownership, number 1 in gun deaths. It's not even complicated. And guess what? This happened on our watch. Society becomes how we behave. We've allowed this to happen. Doesn't have to be this way. Wasn't always this way. A few decades ago, we didn't experience these kind of things. We've allowed this to happen. And I feared 2 days ago that Monterey Park would give way to other headlines. Little did I know I'd be up here to give away 2 or 3 days from now whatever the headlines will bring. Meanwhile, the trauma and the damage, the devastation is felt for generations in some cases. Communities being torn asunder, no one feeling safe. All those farm workers, like, can I get a job someplace else? I can't go back. And by the way, some of you should see where these folks are living, the conditions they're in. Living in shipping containers, living in shipping containers. What happens in every one of these cases, I watch those same evening newscasts you do. Well, we couldn't solve for this with this particular law. We can solve for a pattern. We get so consumed by an incident that we lose sight of the pattern. Not in every case, no one's naive. So don't point to that as proof of its failure. Quite the contrary. Gun safety saves lives. The modern gun safety movement started with a guy named Ronald Reagan. Republican Party should look that guy up. 1967. Great leadership here in 1989 with the assault weapons ban, led by Senator Feinstein a few years later after another tragedy in 101 California in the 1994 assault weapons ban. That worked. That worked until it expired in 2004, and we started to see an increase in mass shooting. Wait, one state can't do it alone. Shame on them. And shame on those that allow and perpetuate that to be rewarded politically. Shame on them. And so I'm here processing, like all of us, the absurdity, the theater, look around, of absurdity, only in America. And I'll close on this. Really hit home to me today, meeting immigrants from China. And their translator didn't even know how to translate these words. When the gunfire occurred, they were witnesses. Their friends got shot, killed. They went over, people had been shot, and they thought they were acting. They'd never heard a sound like that. They'd never seen a scene like that. They didn't even know how to comprehend a gunshot wound. It's not something they ever experienced. They don't even know how to comprehend that. Only in America do we see this kind of acting, this kind of chaos, this kind of destruction of communities and lives and confidence and a sense of safety and belonging, which we all yearn for, regardless of our political stripes or our lot in life. So thank you to the first responders, the rock stars behind us, the rock stars behind us, the paramedics that were on the scene. We pray for this one individual, and it was because not just of prayers, but a couple of young men behind me, that if he survives, he will have survived because of their extraordinary work. Thank you to that young man, that 26-year-old Brandon and I met yesterday. This remarkable kid whose aunt told me, I can't believe it was Brandon. We all know Brandon. He was so shy. He's such an empath. I remember him, he said, aunt, when he was a kid, and he would just immediately give all his toys to the rest of the family. He was just that kid. And when we learned it was Brandon, we were so proud. Selfless. Brandon looked at me. He said, I knew I was going to die. I heard a click. I turned around. I think he was about to shoot me. I didn't know. I literally physically was submitting to that moment. And then something came over to me, and I grabbed that weapon, and I wrestled it away. He's still in shock. He doesn't understand. We talk about heroes. Sometimes we talk about it a little too much. Kind of loses its resonance. Boy, I met one yesterday. And you know what? If Brandon can do it, we all have that capacity. And so it's in that spirit, Joaquin's spirit, and the other electeds that said it. Thank you to the community for not giving up, not giving into the cynicism. Thank you for believing in each other. Thanks for showing up today. You wouldn't be here if you'd given up. We know what to do. It's not even complicated. We do. And we don't have to do this again and again and again. To my state, final words. We were here just a few days ago with Congresswoman and the President. Thank you to that young man, that 26-year-old Brandon I met yesterday. We were here just a few days ago with and the President. Brandon I met yesterday. 22 days, 32 trillion gallons of water. Mother Nature's fury unleashed. This community, feel that. I couldn't be more prideful to represent you and have 4 extraordinary kids that want to grow up feeling safe, feeling embraced, feeling protected, feeling connected, and feeling respected. thank you all for being out here today, and thank you remarkable leaders behind us, including the sheriff and her team have done a magnificent job. We're all here to take any questions.
Governor, twice in 48 hours you're speaking to the families of victims of a mass shooting. What do you say to those families in this moment?
We have your back. You matter. We care. We're here when you leave. Cameras turn. You're off to the next. We'll have their back. I'm really proud of this, and thank you, Sheriff, for acknowledging. Thank you to the Budget Chair, Phil Ting. I mean, what we've done in the last few years to address Asian hate, we're not reacting to it. We've been leading the nation in that respect. The money we put up for victim services, I'm proud of that. So we're well resourced. We're making that place known, those investments known down in Monterey Park with the county sheriff. They had $8.7 million directly to take care of that man that said, I can't afford my hospital bill. We said, we got your back, don't worry. Those resources are there. I see the city administrator here, two remarkable supervisors. They've been writing checks directly to some of the folks that were impacted. I say we have your back, and we're here not just today, tomorrow, but we're here for the long haul.
Governor, I want to follow